Hi guys, TacticalRab again today. I hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. With Black Ops 6's release just around the corner and the new season set to begin sometime shortly after that, there is no doubt that we'll still be playing this season on PC, and there are likely still going to be a serious amount of online qualifiers. That has raised Dashy's concern again with the problem of sound equalization over the last couple of years. As far as he's concerned, it's basically hacks, it's basically cheating, but it's effectively allowed in the CDL as it stands, and he doesn't expect that to change in the upcoming season unless the CDL steps in. Very much interested in your thoughts on this big problem in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new. As always, I greatly appreciate it. Plenty as ever to get into. Starting with the Ravens, they have a team to confirm shortly. We don't know fully what it's going to be. We're pretty sure Slasher, TJ and Gwinn have been a team of three now for some time. They need a fourth. We don't precisely know the fourth. It was going to be Mack, actually in the flex or alongside Slasher, and I really rather liked that team. I know that I have my questions on Mack because he didn't play last year. He's making the return to the CDL this season. Hopefully it goes well for him, but we don't really know how he's going to fare. Although in that scenario, I prefer him on a flex than I do personally on an SMG, where he is going to be on the Cloud9 team, we believe, alongside Kremp, which of course raises some questions. With no Mack though available, what do you do? Do you go and get another flex option, you know, a gunless or something? But I'm not really sure that's the greatest idea. Or do you go for another SMG option effectively where someone else on the team can take the flex? And also you got to understand, Slasher is not like an incredibly slow AR, but he's not exactly rapid. So on a game like Black Ops 6, with the movement that we have, you'd think that stacking your team with faster players is probably gonna be a good idea. Gwinn, I think, has the ability to flex as well if he wants to, or if he needs to. Maybe even the same for TJ. So if I was Ravens, I would be looking more at SMG options, right? I think Nero, had they been able to get him, I guess, because apparently Nero, after Cloud9 no longer wanted him and they went for Mack instead, Nero chose to go to the Minnesota Rokkr team that we'll talk about in a second over this Ravens team. So that was apparently no longer an option for them. So, you know, a guy like Vivid has been one of the names mostly thrown around over the last couple of days. But look, let's talk about the Ravens on the other side, because they've got a partnership going on with Carolina Gaming HQ. And to be honest, they basically just yap about a load of, you know, buzzwords and everything. So there's not really that much that's actually said, apart from that they're going to work with them on 4 core areas, and the partnership is a significant milestone, and online activations and whatever, right? But people were wondering, are they going to get a facility out of this? Like, how is this going to work? And as Clay says, no more playing out of Brian's living room, hashtag level up. It's the guest bedroom now, he says. They hit the upgrade. So Clay is not going to be on that team. He was on that roster, of course, last season, when halfway through the year they came up with a facility which was effectively the living room in Brian Saint's penthouse. That was the discussion. So it seems like that might still be happening. I don't know. It's not like Ravens are going to be all of a sudden throwing loads of money around. And last season, let's not forget, they let us all down because they were meant to host an event and then they didn't. So it is what it is, I suppose. Simp is going to be on the Cloud9 team. We know they're building a roster around him. He actually says, this year going to be better than my best year. Now, like, it's probably a song lyric or something, but even taking it at face value, last season was pretty good for Simp. Looking at his other seasons as well, of course, in Vanguard, he wasn't quite as good as Pred, but nonetheless, and obviously Modern Warfare 2, you could argue the same applies, but nonetheless, Simp had really good seasons those years on average, certainly Vanguard when they won that event at Major 3. But speaking quickly of that Rokkr team, Paulx and Nero have both signed a deal now. Apparently, Estriel and Geo were already done deals, so this roster is now effectively locked in. So Looney is over there building this team. The rumor was that it was going to be Estriel Hook on the SMGs, and then it was going to be Arcetes and Paulx, which was pretty controversial, and he got a fair bit of backlash for that team that was going to be built. Then though, Nero became available on the SMG perspective because Cloud9 no longer wanted him, and well, they snapped him up, and this sounds pretty good to me. Estriel Nero on the SMGs. I'm kind of surprised, to be honest, that no teams theoretically further up the order have gone for either of those guys. So I think Rokkr are making an intelligent decision putting those two together. Like, just for me, on paper, right? If I was Cloud9 and I was choosing between Estriel Nero or Kremp and Mack, like, I think I'd go for the former. You never really fully know how it's going to work, but like I think Rokkr are probably making a sensible decision there. I like the Geo pickup as well. Probably the most controversial one is the PaulX decision, right? Just because is there enough leadership on this team in the longer term to make them competitive? I actually think this roster is maybe going to be better than people think, certainly at the start of the season, but as time goes on, I don't know if they're going to be able to maintain that. And PaulX bringing him back from challenges is pretty controversial. Now, he was good last year and has earned the chance again in the league as far as I'm concerned, but also he's had his ups and downs, obviously on the Ravens organisation. There's just been some controversy about him as a player and as a character, as a personality. You know, some people he's got along with, some people he certainly hasn't, to my understanding. But to be fair, Kremp, the greatest ever, gave Paul a lot of credit when he joins that New York Subliners team during Vanguard and helped turn them into an actual contending force. So if Kremp's giving you credit and giving you the benefit of the doubt, then it's understandable that you might be a pretty damn good player. So they're going to bring him back in. Do I expect this to be the team of 4 at the end of the season on Rokkr? Probably not, but I think to start the year it's probably a decent option. But a couple of clips to share here from Dashy. We're going to talk more about these streams as well later on today because, as ever, there was some drama happening and it's Black Ops 3, so, you know, what do you want me to do? But Dashy's talking about a few things, talks about champs as well. Of course, it was his first ever World Championship Grand Final this year and he won it. He was third, I think, in Black Ops 4, right? So, you know, didn't make the Champs Grand Final quite that year. And he's talking about how much different it is, basically, to playing in a regular tournament, certainly when things start to go wrong with the pressure absolutely mounting. But the other clip I wanted to share was on sound equalization. We know that it's a big talking point of the COD scene. It has been now for a good couple of years. The big drama really is that despite the fact that this emerged as a problem in, you know, especially Modern Warfare 2, it was a big talking point, even Vanguard as well, to some degree. Apparently, this was first discovered in many respects by players even during the Cold War season. And that's why when basically PC players come around, especially now we do a lot of online Call of Duty, it's difficult to prevent this issue.
I feel like it's so like mental and like momentum based. Like the momentum is that much like more extreme in the champs finals. It feels like people want to win so bad that like little plays that shouldn't affect somebody, like a missed gunfight or a missed shot or a missed opportunity, could like mess with someone for like a little longer than usual, than a fucking normal, like, I guess major win or some shit. Even like this year, like us at champs, like, bro, we just like last year New York versus like Toronto. I feel like champs, like finals specific, just champs. Like obviously other tournaments are like, they are the same to like a lesser degree, but actually no, they're not. I feel like it's so unique, like it's specifically champs. Vanguard, same shit. Thieves just goes up 4-0, insta, bang, like, and then they just lose like the one map, like their auto veto, and then low key, FaZe low key had the fucking momentum from that point on. They won the next map, made it 4-2, and they low key, I think they just choked the 5-3 lead. It's just a straight mental game. Momentum is just, it plays like a way bigger factor in a champs final than like any other tournament. Because in reality, like if I win like champs, like a final, like in champs, like you really just have to be like, if you're checked out for an hour, you can be checked off anything. And that, like when I mean checked out, people just think that like, oh, you're just like not trying or whatever. But like check could literally mean anything that's not like literally in the moment of like playing the game. You're thinking about the money, you're thinking about like, I don't know, the stage, the pressure, whatever. Like maybe you saw a girl with a fat ass, or maybe your shot's not on or some shit. Like that hour could literally lose you champs just because like you just weren't locked. They were up 3-0, maybe like one person lost a gunfight to fucking potentially could have won map 4, and then they're like, fuck dude, if I just won that one gunfight, like could have just like easily won 4, and now they're like still in the series, and like that thought is still messing with them, and it just like lasts a little longer than usual just because it's champs and they really wanted to win. And you know what I'm saying, there's little shit like that. That was our issue, at least in fucking MW2. The issue definitely wasn't game related. Randomly get the finals and then just lose it. It's like everyone using sound EQ, like just little shit like that is so annoying. Like I fucking hate getting sound hard. Like I think it's so cheesy. Because it's like such a like bailout to actually like use your brain. That is the one shitty part about, like everyone always talks about like hacks for fucking, because it's more accepted. That's why I think it's more AIDS. Like going to PC COD, like I mean that's definitely gonna be like, that's not saying I don't give a fuck about it because it's obviously an issue, but like sound EQ, it's like not supposed to be a thing that should be discovered for COD. And like these games were so good back then, like Cold War. I mean, I don't know. I think Cold War people were still using it. Like it was like the beginning of like people discovering it. But like BO3 was a game that no like sound horn wasn't even like. I mean, it was a thing if like you didn't have Daddy or Blast Suppressor, but like it is looked at as almost frowned upon. But it's a little more accepted in terms of like if you did get caught running it, like you're not gonna get like a punishment, or B like it's not gonna look that bad as opposed to like if you got caught with hacks, obviously. But in my opinion, it's like it just kills like the actual like quality of the actual game.
So just to clarify what sound equalization is, if you guys aren't aware, loudness equalization, sound EQ, there's a few names that go around. Effectively in the Windows settings under the sound settings somewhere, you can use loudness equalization as a setting, and if you use it when you're actually playing a game, it levels out some of the sound so that quiet noises become rather loud, and therefore footsteps can be heard far easier than they otherwise would. So it's not an in-game setting, it's a PC setting that on paper could be disabled by the CDL themselves. The issue is they don't do that, and managing that online is a bit of a challenge. The players have their own like CDL PCs that they play the online qualifiers with, and they can potentially manage those remotely, but they just kind of don't. And it's been a known thing that over the last few years, there have been certain players that have been abusing sound EQ online. I mean, you know, there's a few names that have always gone around here. I don't know who's been using it and who hasn't. Obviously, ProLoot, when he was in the league, people called him EQ Loot. Maybe they still do. I don't know. That's Charles. And Kismet as well has been thrown around. I don't even know if that's necessarily true, but it's just kind of because this year there was dead silence in the game, so EQ was less effective, and the year before it was more effective on paper, and Kismet was better in MW2 than MW3, so there's a speculation. We know that some teams were using it for sure, because that Boston team during Modern Warfare 2, they were sound EQing out of their minds, and they basically admitted it because there was one of their online qualifiers that they ran on LAN, and they were like, yeah, we ain't turning it off. Of course, Awakening was probably the key name to be involved in that discussion. So there's a few names that are kind of the faces of the sound equalization problem, and it's been discussed for some time, and Dashy says it again, what do the league need to do about this if they want to solve the issue? Because as he says, it's basically hacks on some level. It's not like wall hacks, it's not like aim hacks, but it's sound hacks on some level. Now, everyone has access to this if they want to turn it on in their settings. Of course, from a competitive integrity perspective, some players will refuse to do so, but others will not refuse to do so. And for example, aBeZy, February 2023, when it was all the rage, sound EQ is such cheese. And there's just several other tweets that I found very quickly, even most recently when Denza was talking about how Fire was using sound EQ mix amp. Now, I'm not necessarily sure this is a full detail of the situation, because like a mix amp doesn't really do it, but whatever. People talk about sound EQ all the time, and even last year when the Boston drum was happening, Bance next time was like, you know, are we going to play without sound equalization when we play this time? Now on LAN, the CDL disable it, or they say you can't use it, and you know, they're like, look, all the PCs are right here, so we can go and check, so don't turn it on, guys, type thing. But do they actually check? What is the punishment if they were to check someone's PC and it is on? Because as Dashy says, it's not like someone's plugging in a USB stick and downloading aim hacks. Like, this is an in the PC setting that can be turned on and off. Now, I'm sure that someone would be smart enough to, like, you know, make the CDL PC such that this setting is constantly disabled for online and LAN play. I know that Slasher, I think, and maybe others gave the idea of, well, let's say you're playing an online qualifier, what if every series there is a random PC check done when a random player of the 8 is selected, and they go in remotely and they check the PC and they see if the sound equalization is on or not. And if they were to do that, that would heavily disincentivize the players to stop using it, but also, what is the punishment going to be? Like, are you suspended for a game? Is it like a warning the first time it goes wrong? Like, what is the situation, right? And, you know, we talk about problems with the league. This is one of them. And the reality is that these players are trying to compete for a lot of money. And this season, maybe especially so. Because as we know, the point that Shotzzy has made recently, this year, the players are getting paid less than they previously did. The salaries are going down. So winning becomes more critical. And that could be a good thing for the scene, because more teams are going to try harder to win rather than like settling for their mediocre salary and being happy being 6th to 8th place. This year, these teams are going to probably try and go balls to the wall to win. It's going to be more important given the salary discussions that we have had. So it might be even more important to turn that sound equalization on, and therefore maybe even more integral that the league actually finds a way to solve this problem. And there are solutions out there to these issues, but whether, you know, the CDL want to commit to trying to get on top of this problem, or they're just going to accept it as part of the game, that I guess remains to be seen this year. But very much interested to your thoughts as ever in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.